Call the regular council meeting for the corporation of the town of Cobalt to order on June 23rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Is there any? Okay, 3, public meetings. There are none. 4, deputation delegation. We have MP Pauline Rochefort, who is come to visit us. If you'd like to come up, Pauline.
Your Worship, members of Council, thank you very much for this opportunity to come before you this evening. I did prepare some brief remarks, if that's appropriate.
Oh, yes.
I am joined this evening by my colleague, Amanda Saint-Jean, who is our constituency manager for Temiskaming, and so I appreciate her presence here this evening. And I did prepare a few notes, but frankly, I'm going to try and just to speak off the cuff, if that's appropriate. I did review your official plan that was recently approved last year, and I must admit I was very impressed with the plan. I read it, and I felt that it was a very, very well done official plan. So often in communities, people don't appreciate. As a former municipal member of a municipality council, sometimes I find that communities don't realize all the work that goes into preparing an official plan, and so I want to publicly say it's an excellent piece of work that was done by this municipality. I was impressed as well by the vision, recognizing the past and embracing the future. And there's no doubt when we read through your plan, I mean, you certainly see the some of the issues that as a community you have to face, and certainly I think housing comes out at the top of the list in the official plan. Very apparent. And I say all these things because I will welcome a conversation. I come before you with some views that I've read from the official plan, but it's through conversation and the opportunity to work with you as we move forward that I will gain a much better understanding of what the issues are. But certainly, for me, housing was apparent. It was front and center in the plan. You also highlight the need for economic growth. At the same time as there's challenges attached to that, either maybe from a workforce perspective and also demographics and aging population. I was surprised that when it came to the economy, there was no mention of electro batteries or critical minerals and all of that, and the opportunity tied to, in my view, tied to cobalt, even though they're not in your town. I guess they're in a neighboring municipality. But nonetheless, you certainly cover the economy very well in your plan. But like every community, aging roads, aging infrastructure, and with a limited tax base, and so no doubt it's a challenge. But I would say that in my view, Cobalt you have I would view a bigger challenge to some extent than maybe some of the other communities, and because at the same time you're trying to preserve the past. And you have buildings that are part of, I think, your assets, and you're trying to maintain these buildings, and it's not easy to do so. At least that's how I interpret the official plan. And I thought to myself, that's not easy to do what they have to do. So I raise my hat to all of you and the work that you're doing at trying to preserve the heritage of this community, the mining history of this community, at the same time as help this community grow. And so, job well done to the council of town of Cobalt. There's no doubt, I think, in the community as well, issues of affordability among citizens. I mean, they're prevalent across the country, but there are parts of our world, and parts of our country that have greater affordability issues, and I think that is probably an issue in parts of our riding. And so certainly issues of cost of living, groceries, as we know, and so I think that's also a concern that's raised through the official plan, through indirect words. And anyway, so my final comment on this is I think it's an excellent official plan, and I look forward to seeing how I might support you in carrying out this plan as we move forward. No doubt that as a government, we're very concerned as a government on the issues of affordability with Canadians. And there's quite a bit that's been done in that sense, but I suspect we can never quite do enough. Life has become difficult, and with the issues of tariffs, and so it's a complex world, as we all know. And at every level of government, it's a complex world, and it comes with certain issues. But I was hearing last week, as you know, I'm a new member of Parliament. But I was very delighted last week with the fact that there was a number of bills that finally made it through the House and received royal assent. And I do believe that often in municipal council, what we want is action. And people often say that one of the reasons, they prefer to be at municipal level is because it's more action oriented. You get to see the results of your efforts, and as you work with citizens, and you really get to see the impact of your efforts. And so last week I felt a little bit like that, as there was a number of bills that were passed. Two of them very important from an economic perspective for our country, and they build on some of the bills that were passed last year, which is all about growing our economy. So basically, right, this government is very much focused on protecting all of the social nets that are so important, and many in our own riding. I was surprised to find that, for example, the dental care benefit in the riding of Nipissing-Temiskaming, we have 94,000 residents in Nipissing-Temiskaming, and there's 12,000 citizens that take advantage of the dental care benefit. The recent groceries and essential benefits benefit that was introduced, so essential items, I think, a benefit that was introduced. 28,000 citizens in our riding are eligible for that. You look at childcare for families, easily $8,000 sometimes per child. So there's so many different benefits that are out there that are essential, and they all need to be protected. That is very much front and center with our government, and with my role is how do we protect that for our communities, for our citizens. At the same time, my personal belief, as it is, I think, of many Canadians, is that we need to grow our economy. We need to have, with what's occurred to us with the United States, we need to become more sovereign, more independent. And so there's been a tremendous amount of work in that respect, and work will continue in that regards. I find some of the strategies will have an impact on us in the north, maybe not directly, but for example, the national electricity strategy that was announced, I find that is very important, because as the municipal council, one of the things we're going to face is the rising demand for electricity. It's significant what's being forecasted in terms of how electricity demand will grow. They're talking about it being doubling and I'm sure at all the conferences you go to, these issues are discussed. As we know, they're always being discussed. And so we need as a country to take action on that. It is essential. And so that particular strategy is calling on us as a country, activating all the sources of electricity that we have, from gas to nuclear to renewables to our hydropower that we have here in abundant supply, and geothermal pumps. So all of these technologies, all of these various forms of energy are going to be activated in a significant way. But more important is the fact that we're going to be connecting all of our provinces. And it's incredible to believe that we've evolved as a country where each province more or less has their own energy system. They connect north-south, but they don't connect east-west. And so part of this work will be on how do we connect east-west so that we can ensure that in 20 years from now that we have reliable, affordable energy. And I think that's important for communities, for all our communities, obviously all the citizens. And so those are examples of national strategies. And certainly, I find as a federal government, we're often the role of the federal government. Each level of government has their responsibilities. But certainly at a federal level, the work is in setting the climate from a countrywide perspective to encourage investment, to encourage various strategies for our countries that are essential. And so very much I see the government acting in a significant way in that sense. I did want to touch on one point quickly. We often, right now, we live in a world that's more complicated. And so, there's always been this issue of, at a local level, there's crimes, security. And so I would say, based on my research, based on my understanding, this is the most tough any federal government has ever been on crime. Just in the last week, initially this year, earlier, there was the Border Security Act was passed that targets, smuggling and organized crime and money laundering and so on. But last week, some of the important bills that were passed, one is on cybersecurity. So that really aims at protecting, national telecommunication, everything that's national in terms of from a communication and large infrastructure perspective. So a very important bill that was passed that also is also touches us at a municipal level, because it really is aimed at protecting what is critical, what ensures that we can provide services at a community level. The other important bill that was passed, and it's one that's been very controversial across our country, is one that was called combating against hate motivated crimes. Okay, and it received a lot of controversy because people misunderstood it. And to me, it's an essential bill that was passed because it puts a definition on what is hate. And you know, in our country, there's not been any prosecution for any crimes related to hate. And that's surprising, you know, we think, but because the criminal code did not enable it. And so basically, to a large extent, this particular bill brings a definition of what is hate in our country. And so I think it's essential. We need that in our communities in order to be able to deal with some of the issues that we face. The next bill is one that I think all Canadians were, and it's important for our riding because we've had issues. It's the one on bail sentencing reform. And so basically, I think there's 80 amendments that have been brought to the criminal code to help deal with that particular issue. So that received royal assent, and that was supported by most parties in government. So that was very good step forward. The final one that I wanted to touch on was the bill related to victims protection. So, for example, in some, and we have in the north, you know, we think issues of trafficking, intimate partner violence. These issues are prevalent in our community. And so basically it's a bill that deals with that and many other dimensions. I just touched on some of the elements, but some of these bills are very detailed. But I think from a community perspective, that's something we need to talk about and to maybe put forward and advise the citizens that these bills have received royal assent. And so within 30 days after that, they become law. And I think that they are important. And there's other actions. I mean, over the summer, we're going to be discussing the bill that deals with, children removing their rights to social media if they're 16 years or less. And there's that bill C-34 that's been put forth. So anyway, the government is allowing time over the summer. It's an opportunity to consult on these issues, but important issues in all of our communities. And so basically, I don't want to speak too long. I could probably talk for many hours, but I do just want to say that the issues of Canadians are important. They're important to us. They're important to Amanda and I. And one of the things people often ask me, is it what you were expecting becoming a member of Parliament? And to a large extent, I say yes. But what I did not expect is how many letters we would receive, how many calls we would receive, how many people come into the office. And I say democracy is alive and well in Nipissing, Temiskaming, because there is a lot of input. And I personally think that's absolutely wonderful because that's how we ensure, a democratic process, and we approach it and welcome it in that spirit, I can assure you. So I conclude just by saying, I think it's wonderful that you have a community that has history, that has heritage, and that you are working to protect that. I know it's never easy when it comes to funding, and we apply for things, and we fill out grants, and but we are there to support you, and I welcome the conversation. And as we move forward, that's very important to us and to me personally. I know it's municipal election year, and I know that we may have some changes, but I want to assure the town of Cobalt that we are there and we are interested in what's happening in your community. And so I conclude with those particular comments. And again, to reiterate my congratulations for the excellent work that you are doing. Merci. And I'm not sure if you want me to ask questions or if you want to just, there's no need to. I
invited council to send questions in to our town manager, and he tells me he didn't receive any. I think it's because people were unsure of what to ask. I would like to say I was very excited to see the bail reform bill come up. I think there's a lot more work to be done yet. Because one of the things that I heard over and over again when there was the things that happened in Cobalt that happened is hopefully the victim will get justice. And what a lot of people don't realize is there's never really any justice because you can't undo harm that's been done. And that's something that the victim will live with for the rest of their life. I would like to see changes coming in that stop things like that from happening in the first place to somebody who has so much life ahead of them. Because I think that that is a very hard impact to somebody who's just beginning to embark on their life and their adulthood to face. So I was excited to see the changes that did come. I know there's a lot more work to be done. I'm hoping that the Attorney General's office and the Solicitor General's office will work hand in hand in bringing those forward.
It's a good comment you make. I appreciate you saying that because ultimately it is every level of government that has a hand in bail and sentencing reform. And so it is, there has been dialogue because, I mean, as we said, we need to embark on this. It has to be all inclusive and at a municipal level, the police services, you know, at a provincial level, it's, you know, the prisons and so everyone has different roles, right? So that is essential. It's a good comment. Thank you for mentioning it.
Well, and then the other impact to it is when it's repeat offenders over and over and over again in a municipalities that are as small as we are, it has a big impact on our police costs. And that's unfair to the municipalities to be expected to bear that burden of the increased policing costs when it's the repeat over and over and over, and sometimes as many as 20 or 25 times they're going before the judge and they're still back out doing the same thing again. And it's hard because the people who are law abiding have a really hard time dealing with that. And then they're told that if they react, then they're going to be persecuted. And it's like, well, you know, that's a little unfair to an extent because people work hard for their personal possessions and their property. And they should be able to, you know, take satisfaction in knowing that something's going to happen to somebody who tries to violate that space. So,
thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
I totally agree with what you were saying there.
Yeah.
It's discouraging that day after day. You could have 7 days a week, same person being arrested, out, arrested.
Yeah. Even the police are frustrated with it. So it's everybody that's getting frustrated. Councillor Wilcox?
Well, yeah, and follow up on your point. Catch and release is good for fishing. It's not good for criminals. Just get that right out there. I was pleased to hear about your preserving historic buildings, and we are doing that right now with one. It would be nice if you could send us some money. We could really use it. About $50,000 would be good.
How much did you say?
Sorry?
How much?
About 50,000.
50,000.
Yeah. That would
And it
help
really can't
immensely.
be 90 cent dollars. That's, we're to the point, 90 cent dollars will come go, but we can't afford the other 10%.
Are you a community that applies a lot? Are you, you know, there's some municipalities that apply more than others. It's a lot of work to fill out applications. I'm just, anyway, I point that out. I know it's
Unfortunately, we had a real struggle staff-wise. So that impacts our ability to apply for a lot of different grants. When I do hear of any, I pass it along to the office and they look into it, do it, see if we can fall into that niche or not.
Yes.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. More often or not, that we don't. So yeah, we're always looking for opportunities to try lessen the impact for our ratepayers by being able to maintain some and preserve some history that we can.
We're open to assisting. If you do identify a grant opportunity that you feel would be, that you might qualify for, and we're supportive and we can provide some support and maybe helping to structure things, and because I appreciate that the issue of staffing, so I understand that. So we're there for you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Colleen.
Can I throw in one more?
Go ahead.
Pierre Polyev, and I hate to bring him up, but nonetheless, made a point the other day that about double taxation on the sale of cars. And I know for a lot of friends of mine and me, that has always been an authority issue. When we buy a car, we pay tax on the car, and yet if we sell it to somebody else, they get to pay tax on the car, and so on until the car is finally a rust bucket and gone. And that seems to me to be far too many times it's being taxed.
Would you write to me on that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I think it's funny, but I think actually when I get something in writing, And I would with pleasure if you do that to us, that would be wonderful. We'll take action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pauline. I appreciate the time. I know you're very busy.
No, never. It's a priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will be on our way.
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Five, adoption of meeting agenda. Draft motion, be it resolved that council approve the regular meeting dated June 23rd, 2026 as amended. The following item will be removed. 8.1, tender to purchase municipal surplus lot 17 Pyrite Street North, related to staff report 2026-06-2301, as the purchaser is backed out of the purchase. The following items will be added. 8.3, Classic Theater Foundation repairs. 8.4, Classic Theater lease. 8.5, Sharp Lake. I need a mover and a seconder on the amended agenda.
This is Jenny.
Sorry, everybody's needs just a minute.
I'm sorry, madam. You went too fast for me.
Oh.
My brain's too.
Sorry. 8.1 to be removed.
That's the one house sale.
Purchaser on the 17 Pyrite Street, the purchaser backed out. 8.3, Classic Theater Foundation repairs to be added. 8.4, Classic Theater lease to be added. Does staff have a copy of the reports? Okay. And 8.5, Sharp Lake. Are the changes to the agenda. So a mover and a seconder. Councillor Starchuk,
Yeah, okay.
Councillor Anderson. Any discussion? Councillor Wilcox.
I note that the 3 items being added were not published in accordance with the notice that has to be given for an agenda for a regular council meeting. And therefore, I would suggest they are, if not illegal, certainly inappropriate. Most especially for the sale of the lake property. And I noticed you put in a diminishing from 400,000 in the illegally original posting that was given. You've dropped it down to a recommendation of $200,000 to $250,000. And I find that extremely untenable. And I note that a motion that I submitted in accordance with our procedural policy has not been placed in this agenda. And for those reasons, I cannot support this agenda.
Okay. That's entirely your choice.
It is. And on that note, I'm leaving. Count quorum.
Okay. So we've now lost quorum. So I guess we will, we can't even close the meeting.
Pardon me?
We can't even close the meeting. We don't have quorum.
This meeting didn't exist, it didn't happen.
Does anybody know how we address this?
Suspend it till we,
We'll suspend it. We're going to reschedule the meeting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I thought we were out of
Kind of
notice and for
understand.
this benefit.
And I guess our recording will be ended.
okay.